All right, hello and welcome back to Third and Long Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Rooney, and as per usual, I am joined by my co-host Cody Starin. Say hello, Cody.
New camera positioning.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, as like we promised last week, we're gonna be doing draft prospect reviews from now until at least the start of free agency, or until we run out of draft prospects to go over, whichever
I
comes first.
Mason, we will not run out of draft prospects. I could talk about a lot of people.
Yeah. Uh, but we'll get into more of the schedule probably towards the end of the show. But
Absolutely.
like we said, today's first edition of Draft Prospect Reviews is the top two edge rushers of this draft, Kayvon Thibodeaux and Aiden Hutchinson. Hutchinson being he was a Heisman finalist, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hutchinson, the Heisman finalist who kind of skyrocketed his value this year, and Thibodeaux, who's been like consensus top pick for like ever, it seems. But as someone who does not watch college football a whole lot, and I get my college football news exclusively from various news outlets, Cody, tell me what you know about these individual men.
Well, size-wise, they're exact same. So when someone says, "Oh, I want him because he's bigger," there's no separation here. They're both 6'5". They're both around 250, 26. Actually, they're both around 260. One's 265. One's 258. So size doesn't really have one up on the other. Um, the only problem with Thibodeau that's noted here, I'm using Bleacher Report as my main source because they have everything laid out well, is too many holding calls for Thibodeau, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's too handsy with people. He starts getting beat, he just starts grabbing. Essentially is what they're saying. And he struggles against non-zone runs. Too many times, I've seen it a couple of times against Ohio State, but too many times does he miss a block from someone pulling around the edge there. So, you know, that kind of takes him out of the play. And then in comparison to the negatives for Hutchinson, I mean, it says that he can get too upright off the snap and exposes his chest, right? But that takes him out of the play. I feel like that's a pretty easy fix. You know, once you get to the NFL, get pancaked a couple of times. I'm sure you'll fix that pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And will occasionally lunge into offensive tackles to make first contact. I'm sure these two issues will be solved rather quickly. I mean, I don't. I'm not a coach, nor do I claim to be a coach, but it just feels like Hutchinson's got the easier problems to fix. Looking at scouting reports,
I mean, with Thibodeau,
and
you could fix hand placement.
yeah, I get that, but I feel like it's gonna be a little harder. Just the habit feels a little harder to fix.
You think it's easier
I could
to
be
learn?
wrong.
I mean, if we're talking about like their negatives, uh, Hutchinson's just get too high, and Thibodeau's too handsy
Right.
is kind of like similar issues that like those feel like those could be fixed.
Oh, absolutely. With the right coaches, both those will be fixed immediately.
Yeah. Now, on these notes for Thibodeau, apparently he got injured in the season, or early in the season, so it didn't. His stats weren't exactly great. It seems.
Right, he only played 10 games.
Yeah. In those 10 games, he it seems like he made his presence well known.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Thibodeau just seems like the more all-around player. I mean, Hutchinson seems more like the straight speed pass rusher,
Yeah. So like,
while
Matt,
Thibodeau,
if you want speed or power,
right? Thibodeau seems like he's the more. I don't want to say the more every. What am I trying to say?
type of player everyone wants, or
He's like a younger Chandler Jones.
Uh, yeah, I
You
could
see
see
what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah,
He can fall back into coverage. He can do that, but he can also get to the quarterback fast.
yeah,
Um, and actually, right on this article we're using, it says his pro comparison is 110% Josh Allen.
yeah.
And Josh Allen, that's Josh Allen for the Jaguars, obviously not the Bills.
Are you sure about
But
that though?
we just gotta make sure, man.
All right.
But it seems to Josh Allen's a very good ball player, and it seems like he's on the right same track as him.
Yeah, I mean, since like before the season started, we were talking like or before, yeah, before the season, Thibodeaux was the odds-on favorite to be first overall pick. And while his value has dropped a bit, he's still projected like top three. So,
Right.
while like on Hutchinson, on the other hand, I, like we were talking, I have no idea what his value was before the season started, and to make such a jump from like unknown, at least for me, because like I kind of like I know the big names coming in or coming out of college, just like in general, just I tried to familiarize myself with some of the bigger names coming out of college, like who's declaring and stuff like that. I had no idea who the hell Aiden Hutchinson was before the season, and that being said, I didn't know where his value stood before the season. But to make such a jump from unknown, at least by me, to top three, it's quite an impressive jump. The thing is, would he be able to sustain that type of improvement?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I knew of Aiden Hutchinson because of being from Minnesota. Big Ten footballs pretty much all over the place. It's pretty hard to miss
Yeah,
big big football people. But Hutchinson got hurt last year. He didn't really play a whole lot. I mean, I told you before. I think he played 2 or 3 games, I believe, and that was pretty much it. So
yeah.
I guess from coming off an injury riddled season to
Heisman
just
finalist is
impressive,
quite a leap.
quite impressive.
Yeah,
And I know what Dion always said is you're not looking for the best player that year. You're looking at years prior, see how much better they got between seasons.
yeah,
And so, I mean, I'm not gonna say that was Hutchinson 100% because obviously injury seasons can't really weigh a whole lot. But it seems like he made a pretty solid jump last year.
absolutely. But like, if we take out his injury year, he's kind of put up similar statistics to what he did prior.
Well, you look back 2 years ago, he has essentially the same stats, just significantly less sacks.
Well,
So
yeah. So like, good for Hutchinson being able to make that huge leap from injury to being injured for the season to Heisman finalist. And did
absolutely.
he? Who else was Heisman finalist last year? Because it was who won it last year?
Um,
Bryce Young
I
won it
forget.
last year.
Right.
Who won it? I don't know if he was placed second or third, but yeah, still Heisman finalist is quite an impressive leap, especially for defenders in college football, since it just seems to be
I
a
can
offensive award.
I can tell you runner up here in just a second. Well, Aiden Hutchinson was number 2, and then it was Kenny Pickett at number 3.
I forgot Kenny Pickett, Mr. Fake Slide himself.
Yes, sir, Mister. I changed football in one day.
Absolutely. We'll save that for another episode. Uh, yeah. So those are the top two draft or yeah. What do you say? They're the top two draft prospects, or just because they're definitely the top two defensive draft prospects? You
I'd
think
say Thibodeaux 1, Hutchinson 3 as of right now,
I
just
met
because
Evan Neal?
Evan Neal is such a powerhouse at tackle.
Yeah. All right. So you brought up Evan Neal, which is we're not going to talk about him today, but you brought it or uh yeah, Jaguars on the clock right now, and if you were the GM, I don't even know who the GM of the Jaguars is right now. But if you were the GM of the Jaguars, what do you do in that first pick? You good looking to protect Trevor or get another good pass rusher?
If I'm Jaguars, I'm going on or Evan Neal, 100%.
You'd go Neil.
I mean, you got
All right. I mean that's
you got a
fair.
lot of money and a lot of expectations for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is what do they say? Like the most top 5 most valued recruit to come out of college football in like 20 years.
Yeah, he was one of the
I
most
mean,
highly touted, highly projected college players come to ever come out. He was getting like a Steve. I think it was either Montana. I think it was Montana and like Andrew Luck type of comparisons where they were just like hands down generational talents coming out.
yeah, and at the end of the day, um, you can't waste that kind of talent. You want to get something around him that, and they've got pieces on defense. I mean, the defense is nice.
They
They
do
still have
have
Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen.
I mean, I don't know if Miles Jack is still there.
I think he is.
Yeah, he's probably still there. And I think they got a couple of nice pieces in the secondary, but
I know they
I
have
honestly,
Shaq Griffin. They just traded C.J. Henderson this season. I think they have like another cornerback that was like decent. I can't remember though.
cornerback.
Outside of Shaquille Griffin, I have no idea who their other corners
Tyson
are.
Campbell's a nice young
Oh yeah,
prospect.
yeah, they drafted him. Like, I think it was like the first pick of the second round last year.
Yep.
So they obviously have high expectations for him.
Shaq Griffin and Tyson Campbell. And then Damian Wilson's an interesting name because he's gotten better over the last few years. And then Miles Jack's there. Wayne Smoot on end. I don't watch a whole lot of Jaguars football, but I know he killed the Vikings when we played him. He had like 3 sacks. So,
Yeah,
and if you look at their offensive line, Mason,
I know they have. I think they have Cam Robinson out there.
if you look at their offensive line, they have a lot of talent on that line. They just need one guy to anchor it, right?
Yeah,
So they have right now it's Cam Robinson, Andrew Norwell, Brandon Lindner, AJ Can, and Juwan Taylor. You just throw he's a tackle. Throw or Evan Neal with I keep saying O'Neal because Ryan O'Neal plays for the Vikings.
yeah, yeah.
But you just put Evan Neal on that right tackle spot for Juwan Taylor. I mean, your left side's Norwell and Robinson. That's pretty solid, right?
Is Neil a left tackle or is Neil a right tackle? I thought he was a left tackle.
I think he's just listed as tackle.
I know he's
So
listed as tackle, but
So I guess I never really thought of it.
because it.
Well, either way, then you can.
I would rather get rid of Cam. Granted, I don't watch Jaguars football. All my knowledge of Cam Robinson is strictly from Madden and how well he played for me every time I drafted him. And he was not exactly great, but he wasn't bad. I don't know much about Juwan Taylor though. I know he's he's relatively young. He was drafted 3 years ago, I believe. I'm gonna say he was drafted like 3 years ago. Yeah, by the Jags.
2019.
Yeah, the DK year. I remember that. And yeah, so yeah, I mean,
The other thing with the Jaguars, they're just so young.
yeah,
So young.
yeah, but I mean, they need help anywhere they could get it. So it's really up to if they want to protect not Justin Trevor, or they want to make every QB go through a living nightmare.
Absolutely.
Because you pair Josh Allen with either Hutchinson or Thibodeaux, that's a nasty, nasty pass rush. It's kind of what Denver was trying to do with Chubb and Miller when they drafted Bradley Chubb. And like, granted, I think the main difference is that I'm not gonna say Vaughn was washed, but he was definitely older. I think he was like
Getting hurt more.
yeah, He's definitely towards the later end of his career, but he's still putting up insane numbers. Well, not insane numbers. He's putting up good numbers for someone his age and someone that's been injured a lot. But with Jacksonville, you're having a pass rush duo of Allen and either Hutchinson or Thibodeaux. That's a nightmare for any team. I don't
Absolutely.
care who you have on that offensive line. They, there is you're not you'd be able to block one of them. Good luck blocking both of them every play.
Right, and I only say Evan Neal just because
They
he's
already have
so much
Josh.
harder to come by.
Yeah,
Huh?
I was gonna say because
Just
they
so
already
much
have
harder.
Josh Allen,
Well, and it's just so much harder to find
generational tackle,
a generational tackle rather than you know.
generational pass rusher.
I mean, you can always go sign a pass rusher in free agency too.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the free agencies pass rushing signings from this last year.
There's one thing that you can never sign in free agency, and that's great offensive linemen, and that's because the great offensive linemen don't leave where they are.
Facts.
You
So
know, at the end of the day,
yeah, you
at
get a
the end of the
cornerstone
day, if
offensive
you're
lineman, you hold on to them for dear life.
and you give them whatever kind of money they want.
Yeah, you just hand them a blank check, and then yeah, that's how you keep great offensive linemen.
And if you want to keep them around longer, you take them out back, you write them a check off the books, keep them happy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you said you had Neal going one. If you were the Lions, who would you take, Hutchinson or Thibodeaux?
I'm going Hutchinson if I'm the Lions.
You'd go
To be
Hutchinson.
just to be completely honest with you.
I guess
Well,
it makes sense because Hutchinson is the Michigan kid.
he's the Michigan kid, born and raised, so you're already in gain. The big thing with the Lions is
They
they're
need
nowhere
they need
near
anything.
they're nowhere near good enough to compete within the next 2-3 years. I'd say. And just drafting Hutchinson would just bring fans to the stadium that much quicker. Make money now. Like NFL's all about money, right?
Absolutely.
But I mean, I'm looking at their depth chart now. They have nobody on the defensive line.
Do they still have Trey
I'm,
Flowers out there?
yeah, but he's listed as a linebacker.
I mean, he's a pass rusher, edge rusher.
He's another one of those Chandler Jones guys.
He's one of those outside linebacker edge rushers, like a T.J. Watt, a Von Miller, Chandler Jones. He
Absolutely.
said.
Right. But right now their ends are listed as Nick Williams and Michael Brockers.
Michael Brockers is not an end. He's a D. He's a 3-4 DT, which is can be classified as an end. It's like how Aaron Donald can be classified as an end, but everyone knows he's a D tackle.
Okay.
Michael
you looking
Brockers
at their
is
depth
way
chart
too.
right now?
Michael Brockers is way too big to be a damn edge.
Are you looking at their depth chart right now?
No, I'm just going off what I know about these players.
Okay.
Michael
Well, you
Brockers
pretty
is
much
way
nailed
too
that.
big.
So you pretty much nailed that because it's a 3-4 defense, and he's listed as the left defensive end.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's the same thing with the Rams, where they'll have Aaron Donald listed as an edge or left or right end, but everyone in the world he knows he's a DT. So
So that would justify Aiden Hutchinson even more. I sent you a link. If you pull that up, I mean, they have nobody on that D line right now.
I mean, if your only options on D line is Trey Flowers and Michael Brockers, you'll take anything you can get to help.
Right. And like I said, NFL's the money. The Lions know that if they draft Hutchinson over
Thibodeaux.
Thibodeaux, it's gonna put cheeks in the seats.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's probably the smart pick too. He's a hometown kid, and the last hometown kid to get drafted high was Joey Burrow, and look how well that did for the Bengals.
Another one you can't say because he was not drafted. But another one that worked out pretty well was Thielen with the Vikings.
Yeah, technically not drafted, but I get your point.
I mean, they put him on the practice squad, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row, and he refused to leave the Vikings for some unknown reason.
I mean, I'd say one, yeah, I'd want to stay with my hometown team if I could for life.
Right, but also at the end of the day, after the second time of being cut, I'm gonna say, all right, well, the Vikings don't want me. Let me explore other options because,
I imagine he
no,
did, but the Vikings were like, "Hey, we have a spot open. Would you be interested?" And it was like, I imagine it's like, "Hey," or some other team may have like reached out, but like the Vikings also reached out. I was like, I'm gonna stay home, type of thing.
right.
So,
The other thing that would be interesting, Mason, this is a long shot of a scenario. The Packers or the Lions don't necessarily have anyone at corner.
you think they take Stingley?
Depending on how high they are on Stingley, I wouldn't think they wouldn't
I
pass
mean,
up on it.
that
They've already been
that
they've already
corner,
been burnt
Amani,
once.
I mean,
Rougeoire.
yeah, he had himself a hell of a year this year. So he's pretty much locked down one corner spot for the next season.
Right, but Jeff Okuda has performed quite under what he's supposed to.
I mean, he was
And quite
injured this
honestly,
year, and he had a bad rookie year. So he did.
and to
I
be completely honest with you, I don't think they'll do it just because they've already been burnt once by a guy named Jeff Okuda.
I believe in
Drafting the
I
Packers.
believe in Okuda will be able to bounce back. I hope he
And
will.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say he won't because these guys are drafted and they play in this league because they're substantially better than anyone else in this world.
Yeah.
But I think just the fact that they drafted Okuda at 3 would make Stingley a long shot.
Yeah. But in their defense, he was 100% the right pick at that time.
Well,
And there hasn't exactly. I mean, AJ Terrell was in that draft, and he's probably been the best corner of that class so far. So
and that's one thing I hate about the NFL draft process is like last year the Jaguars. Yes, they needed a quarterback, but there was other positions of need too. If Urban drafts anyone other than Trevor Lawrence, he's gonna get fired immediately because
I
he
mean,
wouldn't
obviously Minshew was a good QB. Don't get me wrong, but when you have the chance to take someone of Trevor Lawrence's caliber, you 100% take that. I don't care who has a number one overall pick. You could have had I guess Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers kind of makes sense. You could have had Patrick Mahomes, and you would still maybe you wouldn't, but you'd definitely consider.
right. But then that's where it comes into to my mind is Jaguars. If they're not 100% sold on Trevor Lawrence, why not try to move back 3 or 4 picks? I mean, the Niners were selling pretty high on trying
Trey
to get back up
Lance.
there, trying to get Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Why not try and I'm sure they would have loved Trevor Lawrence because I think he fits their system a little bit better than Trey
If
Lance.
they got Trevor, if the Niners got Trevor Lawrence, they were shipping off Jimmy immediately. So,
Absolutely.
but like I don't. I mean, I like the Trevor pick because I think he'll eventually. I think he just given the hand he was dealt. I don't think anyone could have salvaged that team. But the
Yeah,
one,
that's how. So every top 10 pick is though.
yeah. But like then there's like some QBs that come in and just like immediately make their presence known. Like I guess it just depends on what situation you get drafted to. Because Patrick Mahomes was given like the best system he could have imagined.
And then Joe Burrow, he's got a familiarity at this point with Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Like I mean,
Jamar Chase was
it's funny right now because I was about to say like from last year, I wasn't a fan of the ETN pick, but it made sense just because Trevor and ETN had that connection. I would have rather them take like literally anything else because they didn't need another running back when they already had James Robinson on this squad.
I thought that was a little disrespectful to James Robinson too.
Yeah,
You know,
but it
he's a
makes sense because like I mean you don't want your running back to be what's the right like overused. I guess you want to kind of have like a split backfield. Not maybe I wouldn't use my first round pick on him, but like I imagine if they really wanted to, they could have got ETN. Well, maybe not, but if they really wanted to, they could have possibly got ETN with the first pick of the second round, maybe.
They could have.
Like the only team I could see maybe taking a running back in the first round from the ETN spot to the first pick of the second round was maybe the Bills.
Or the Bucks.
No, I think the Bucks liked Lenny, so.
Yeah, but there's some reason they like to have about 86 of them.
That's fair. Well, like, but I don't think they would. I don't think the Bucks would have taken ETN. I was kind of as the draft was going on, I was thinking that ETN would go to the Bills. So.
For me, I think the pick would have been, looking back, hindsight obviously is as good as anything. I think the Jaguars should have picked JOK.
I mean, I thought JOK should have gone in the first round, honestly.
And he was projected for the first round, I'm pretty sure.
The Browns got 100% a steal. I think they traded up for him too, but it was an absolute steal. We were talking about it as a like, the Browns got someone good.
And if I'm looking, and there is so many talented receivers that they could have drafted over ETN, that probably would have been the better pick.
Especially when they planned on having ETN as receiver, like it made no sense.
Rashad Bateman went 2 picks after ETN.
I do really like the Bateman pick. I think it'll eventually pan out for Baltimore. I'll just give it some time.
Elijah Moore.
He should have been in the first round. I think the Jets got someone good.
Rondale Moore.
Maybe not to the same extent. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who kind of popped off in the end of the season.
Terrence Marshall Jr.
I think Carolina's just a mess.
I don't understand how that guy fell to 59.
Yeah,
I mean, he was so good besides Jamar Chase, but maybe that's why he was so good. But
yeah. All right, let's get back on track real quick. So yeah. Neal going 1, Hutchinson going 2. The Texans have to take Thibodeaux, right? It's just like a no-brainer pick.
Yeah. Right, and I'm gonna pull up the Texans depth chart just like I did with the other two real quick.
I can't name you a single person on that Texans defensive line that is not safe.
You're not alone.
Or that is safe, I should say. The only person on that Texans defense I could think of is Eric Reed, safety.
Justin Reed?
Is it Justin Reed? Fuck. Yeah, Justin Reed, safety. Is Brendan Scarlett still out there?
No.
He's not out there anymore? I cannot name you a single other person on that Texans defense.
You know 2 of the 3 linebackers, but you won't think of them off the top of your head because they're not household names.
I mean,
Eric Wilson.
He's out there now? Huh.
Christian Kirksey.
Yeah, that name sounds familiar.
Started with the Browns.
Yeah.
Yep. So their linebacking core really is not terrible. It's actually quite literally their only somewhat halfway decent thing on their team.
Yeah.
And a cornerback, they have Desmond King, but I think he's kind of old, I think.
I think he only signed a 1-year deal, too.
You said Eric Reed, right?
Yeah, that safety.
You combine both their safeties together, it's Eric Murray and Justin Reed?
Yeah, the Eric Reed.
There you go.
Yes, sir. See, I know my stuff. I know my Texans lore.
No one knows the Texans.
No. The only person that knows the Texans is Deshaun Watson, but he only knows the Texans masseuses.
The other problem with the Texans is they have no running back.
I mean, they have like 15 of them. What do you mean?
I mean, no good ones.
Yeah.
Their top three right now is one Rex
Lindsey,
Burkhead, two.
Burkhead, and I know they had Mark
Lindsey's not
Ingram
there.
to begin the year.
Lindsey's not on the depth chart anymore.
No? He did sign with them, right? Last year?
It was probably a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And he didn't re-sign, I don't think.
He may have actually. I think he got cut halfway through the season.
It could be too. They could use another receiver, but there's no receiver to be justifiable at number 3.
Yeah. But
I think at this point, you have to go Thibodeaux.
Yeah.
If he's there.
Thibodeaux at 3 is such a steal, I feel. Hopefully for the Texans, because they need something to go their way.
Well, their top 4 defensive linemen, I guarantee you could not name a single one.
I cannot name a single one. No one comes to mind.
Jonathan Greenard.
Nope.
Malik Collins.
Nope.
DeMarcus Walker.
No.
Jacob Martin.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, see, they need defensive line.
Actually, I think Jacob Martin was a Seahawk at one point. Because I think he was a part of the Clowney deal. Because that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he played 1 year, 2018.
Yeah, he was a part of the Clowney deal.
He was, for a fella that, is he a D tackle?
He was an edge. I think he was some type of pass rusher or D lineman type of thing.
Yeah. I see why he's not in Seattle anymore.
I mean, it wasn't just because he wasn't good. I mean, Seahawks. I had high hopes for him going into the year, but when you could get Clowney, do it. Especially when it only cost you a third-round pick.
Especially in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah. So
2018 Clowney was a different animal.
Absolutely, he won single-handedly won the Seahawks some games. And yeah. So your top 3: Neal, Hutchinson, Thibodeaux. I can't. Yeah. I don't disagree with it per se. We'll find out more come draft time. We'll see how the free agency shakes up, and yeah. That's it for this.
I will guarantee you those will be the top 3 picks.
Oh, in some order, yeah. I think that's 100% going down those top 3 picks in whatever order you may choose. Lions have. I mean, that Lions offensive line is so stacked, dude. I was looking at that depth chart. It's really good. But anyway, that's it for this prospect review. Cody, I'll ask you this: what would you rather do next episode? The top QB prospects or someone else? I think we could glump together the top QB prospects because there's not exactly a hands down top QB prospect.
Right, but there's like 5 interesting ones.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah, and we could do like we could do like half and half, so we have the next 2 episodes. But yeah. What would you rather do?
Let me give you. So I think I'm gonna do 4 of the QBs this year.
I mean, if we do 4, might as well just do 5.
Well, I don't know. I don't really want to do Desmond Ridder a whole lot because he's not a very
all right. Here's the top QB prospects I think of when I think top QB prospects for this draft: Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett. There's a name escaping me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far Carson Strong is, and you think he's the 5th best?
According to USA Today.
All right, so Carson Strong, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis. I'm missing 2 names. I cannot think of them to save my life. Please help me.
Well, I just said one. Desmond Ridder.
Desmond. I have no idea where the hell he goes. So.
Cincinnati.
Really?
No, he plays for Cincinnati. Sorry, I don't know where he's gonna get drafted.
Oh.
And then the other one you're missing is Sam Howell.
Sam Howell, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I mean, we could just do like the top three, which would be Willis, Pickett, and Howell.
Yeah, and I do just want to say a little bit of something about Carson Strong, just because he's the guy that is the most NFL ready, other than Kenny Pickett, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that'll probably be our next episode. We'll go over top QB prospects just because there's not really much else to talk about in this lull of the season until free agency happens.
Just be glad this is not a baseball podcast.
Thank God. Because, yeah, for real. There would be literally. If this was a baseball podcast, we wouldn't be a podcast anymore.
No. We'd be on lockout too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So next week, look out for top QB prospects. And yeah, be sure to follow us on our socials down here, personal socials up here. And we will see you all next time on Third and Long.
Yes, sir.